Okay, so today I'll basically put the underplayed class round robin on hold, which was I was just trying to play all the classes I hadn't played much over the course of Hearthstone history, like Priest I barely played, Rogues I barely played, that I don't really like their style of play for the most part. Let's just see what kind of cosmetics there are, and then I kind of want to jump into some sort of Sargeras-inspired deck. Not that it'll be anything meta, but like I'll combine it with the Imp deck I was using before as a tribute of the whole Wild Legend thing in September last year. And I'll try to incorporate like the Portal Imps, the other one too, so you can have both of them in one. That's kind of an underwhelming effect for Sargeras, just summoning 3/2 Imps that stupid Portal did. But, just of all the badass things you could do, there are certain cards that should almost be win condition cards, right? Like Mech Cthulhu is a win condition, which is kind of stupid that it's Mech Cthulhu, but, regular Cthulhu could have been like that or something. Or like just that he does so much damage to your face and stuff from all the buffs. But that's almost what Sargeras could be. And you might say that's too contrived, but there are always cards like that anyway. It just doesn't make sense that, it's one thing if you want to say that they don't want to play into that, like sort of easy win condition stuff. I almost considered getting that just to show off the fact that we're doing priest stuff. But yeah, I'm going to focus on Warlocks now, which is one of my most played and favorite classes ever. In fact, I would say it is my favorite class ever in the history of this game. Kind of a contrast to WoW, where I like mages more. Although I do like mages in this game. It's just... let's just see if there's anything kind of interesting or new as far as cosmetics, but I don't think there is. Or like I've kind of given up on the whole Death Knight completionist challenge because I kind of failed that when I failed to do the Brawliseum. You had to win 12 games. Who else is new here anyway? Frostbringer Arthas is cool, but I'm kind of done playing Death Knights anyway, so let's just do some sort of Imp deck with Sargeras. I think the problem that's going to happen is I'm going to be basically unable to use it the portal quest, because how would I guess I could do it like with Renethal, right? Like I'll try to just do it instinctively. I'm not going to do it like look something up. I'm sure people would come up with these same sort of ideas just for the fun of it, but basically I don't know what other Imp decks really there were throughout the history of the game either. I never really, it wasn't like a category that I liked or cared about much. But the reason why I care about it now is just because of how much that did for me in September, how it was such a casual experience and that deck was so good. And it was just one of the deck recipes in the game. It was like a very perfect Storm moment. Oh, look, he said Storm just as soon as I did. We get to show off Nazah too, or who was the other Warlock? Well, obviously we're going to get Sargeras during the course of this expansion, so I kind of relapse, even though I'm trying to distance myself from playing the classes I played the most by doing a format that's in direct contrast to that. I still end up coming back to it, but just because they're spoiling you with so many cool Warlock cosmetics and cards and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I even went, we had a cool moment last time where I went to open a whole bunch of packs, like let me get enough dust to be able to craft Sargeras. I just want to craft Sargeras. And then in the process of doing that, I got not only a Warlock Legendary, but specifically Sargeras, even from one of those Mal'Ganis packs. Oh yeah, I haven't used him yet either. As far as the... in fact, you know what? We'll save Nazoth for later, because I still haven't really heard his voice lines and stuff. And I'll give... no, you know what? I should still do it. But I was going to say Mal'Ganis deserves a moment in the spotlight, because he's the one who basically summoned his lord last time, Sargeras, just by... just by basically opening one of his packs, like when you bought that. So I'm not usually the one to buy cosmetics, but I've kind of been getting into it. And so I'm personally keeping the game on life support. When even someone like me starts buying microtransactions, there's trouble. Like, you're trying to keep the game alive. It would be amazing to wonder how much money has this game made over the course of its lifespan, because it'd be basically impossible to really determine that. I don't really care about most of this stuff. I haven't really disenchanted, so I just want to get enough dust so I can craft whatever I need to be able to make whatever Imp decks we're looking at. Just craft like every Imp card in the game. There's some shitty ones though, but I almost want to do Renethal and I'll give them all some love. Like, that's the only way to fit all of this stuff in there anyway, right? Just like, there's not going to be an optimal meta deck at all, but and clean through all this shit, like a 2-hour episode a week of Hearthstone that I do, and I'll spend like an hour just making this shit. Like I did that in Magic last week. We just crafted some white deck, one of the few white decks I've ever used. Underplayed round robin there too, but I just overplayed green so much, which is really a bizarre thing. If you were to go by what I do in Magic, you would think I would like Druids the most in this game, and it's not even that I dislike them. I just haven't they were kind of middle of the road for me. Somehow Warlocks, just with the, I don't know exactly why either. Just like there's so many cool things they can do. Their hero power is so cool. Their, you know, the aesthetic and everything is awesome. Like that's part of the reason why I find myself coming back to it now, just because there's so many cool things. Like Sargeras arguably isn't even that great of a card. Like it is good, but you know, it's certainly a boring effect for his magnitude. But just, it's just kind of cool. Like wow, I'm using Sargeras, one of the most badass, important, you know, antagonistic figures in the universe. In fact, arguably the most so. He was the antagonist of the whole Warcraft lore until they retcon it. Then they turn it into some sort of Void Lord type BS. And so that sort of was the way they tried to paint him in a noble light. Like, oh, he's trying to destroy planets, not just because he just is discouraged by whatever, all the evil in the universe and he wants to get rid of it. But the actual reason was that he wants to destroy the Titan souls within the planets. And therefore, like, even, you know, Azeroth itself would be one of the strongest ones, so they don't get corrupted by the Void Lords. But then in the process, doesn't he corrupt one himself, like, to create Argus or whatever? Like, I haven't played the game in any of those expansions, so I wouldn't know. Or like every time I go back to retail WoW, the only thing I do is fly around on my Ashes of Alar and sort of just dick around and, you know, whatever. I just explore all the Cataclysm zones, so it takes me like 10 years to look through those because I only play like, you know, once in a special occasion. I don't even know why or how I decide to do that. We will have certainly a lot of dust. And I probably will have to play in Wild, even though I've been avoiding it. Or you know what I forgot to kind of do is I was playing in Twist for a while, but then the last 2 weeks kind of pissed me off because they wouldn't let me do that. Surely it's back up now. It's still not up. I don't know what they're doing. The whole point was, I don't know. Like at the beginning of the month, it's supposed to do whatever. Yeah, I've played Wild probably 75% of the time throughout the history of this game, even though it wasn't even a format until whatever, a few years in. I can't remember if it was exactly like 2 years in the sense that, you know, I think it took longer. Like, as soon as they rotate stuff out of standard, now you can play in Wild, but it wasn't like that soon. You have to be careful here not to disenchant any cards that are hybrid with Warlocks, though, because, you know, it won't be for Druid, but whatever few synergistic stuff they have between the classes. And they always troll you by making them look so similar, right? Oh, green and dark green is Demon Hunter and Hunter. Or like blue and dark blue is Mage and Mage and Shaman. So they'll deliberately do it like that. Like it makes sense that it would be the similar classes, but... Or even like Hunter and Druid would look like that. Yeah, we commit fully to Warlock, create every Warlock card in the game, which I would have easily had if I had done this more judiciously, but I'll always have an impulse and say like, oh, I just feel like making this deck today. Like, and then I'll never use it again or whatever. And I kind of want to fit Renounced Darkness in there too, but that might be difficult. So I almost want it to be where I have like at least one of every imp in the game. Even if they're not good or whatever, the purpose of the deck is not entirely to be good. But since Sargeras is playing into that effect, I guess I can't deny it. I don't know how much dust I'm really going to need, but whatever we can get, we'll just do. I'm going to disenchant something important that's going to be a multi-class thing, though, because I'm not really paying attention. It kind of made the system a little easier to do, though, where you can like look up new and it won't go away, or they changed something about it at least. Or like I should know instinctively what isn't going to be disenchantable anyway, but I just do it whatever. I haven't done this in a while apparently because, you know, there's so much shit that's not even considered new. You know, then I'll say one day, oh, I feel like doing a Druid deck, and then I'll disenchant all my Warlock cards. No, but I'd never do that. But like I'll disenchant a whole bunch of stuff. I just have these impulses where I just do it on such an irregular basis. Of the Fey Court. Draw minion reduces cost by 8. Yeah, I never really liked Druids enough. They have kind of a gimmicky way of doing it, right? Like they have good value stuff, but it's not as notable, I guess, as Magic does it so well. Just like 5 mana 10/10 crazy stuff. That's just going to be good value. It is basically the equivalent mindset of the 7 mana 7/7, which I wasn't even a big fan of that, but I just like raw value stuff that comes with no downside. That's why it's better. The 7 mana 7/7 sucked. You'd rather have a 5 mana or 4 mana 7/7 you'd rather have it 5 mana 10/10 that has no downside whatsoever, no overload, so it's better statted, and you know, and the only cost of it is that it costs only green mana, and you might think that's a big deal, but why did I think that card was neutral for some reason? The King's Alec. I remember using it so many times in Arena. Okay, don't care about Hunter. Hunter is also one of my least played classes, but I guess I played it a fair amount just because I love that Karnas's Brood thing so much. You can role play like somebody made a fun parody video of it, like Duro Monstacardo, like from Yu-Gi-Oh, where he keeps doing Berserker Soul. That's almost what it is, right? Whenever you, if you draw a minion, you can keep drawing another card. Or no, if you draw a minion, you can discard the minion to attack again. Whereas here, if you draw, you get to draw another, and you keep playing them, and you can keep charging with them, assuming that you have the Tundra Rhino and stuff out there. So it's not exactly the same, but it gives you sort of that same vibe. Everything is a Yu-Gi-Oh reference because it has so many iconic moments like that. Even though the bullshit thing about the series is the fact that they basically make up the rules as they go along, which is kind of important not to do that. If you're going to make a game about a show or a show about a game, you know, at least you have to get that stuff right. But like, nobody's telling you to make a game about a show about just people playing a card game the whole goddamn time, but you can't even follow its own internal logic. Not even that it has to match real life, but it could just match, like, you know, it could just match, what is this? Stranglethorn Heart, tradable, resurrect all friendly beasts that cost 5 or more. That is pretty fun. That is almost like what should be a druid card. Get rid of all this shit. Oh, we might have even excess dust here. I might not have any problem doing this because we got, again, I was going to craft Sargeras by getting a bunch of dust, but I get specifically Sargeras. Like, what are the chances of that happening? Even if it's somehow boosted by the Mal'Ganis pack, there's no way. Like, that's what is such a serendipity's moment. Yeah, I wonder what his presence in the meta actually is. Like, it's a good value card, but it's just not the kind of card design that I like. Like, this is the biggest, most badass boss in the history of gaming, whatever, RPGs. You know, the Titan himself, like, not the Titans are a big deal, because everybody has a Titan in this one, but, like, that's really the best you can come up with. You summon a portal with 2/3/2 Imps, which is an effect we've seen before. At least make it something different. Like, you summon 2/4/4 of a new demon type, or you know, Sargeras is too big of a dude to deal with fucking Imps. Like, he summons other things that then summon Imps in return, right? Like, it's like a tiered system. If Sargeras himself is wasting time summoning Imps, then it's like a waste of time. And then his other effect is to summon, like, Infernal, sure, but that is kind of lazy design. Or at least make a different, maybe they are. It's 2/3/2s, but it might be a different one. But it's basically the same portal that we've seen before, like, you know, whatever, from the quest. That I never really played that deck too much. The problem is you have to discard cards to be able to do it. So how am I supposed to do that when the rest of my deck is only Imps? I don't have room to play into that synergy, right? Or like how I used Galakron infamously in that Imp deck in September that had no synergy, and people were yelling at me, telling me to get rid of it, but somehow I just didn't, well, it lasted me for a while. That's sort of an internal challenge or whatever, because there was no synergy whatsoever with the invoke effects. It was just, oh, cool, it has to do with Imps, so therefore that's what it is. Paladins is also kind of middle of the road for me as far as how much I played it. I'm certainly not going to dump all my dust. I can save it for something else later, where you can actually try something meta, but I almost don't even care. But yeah, I don't always get Legend, but when I do, it's either on a Warlock or a Warrior, because that's pretty much all I've ever done. And I always have that thing where, like, if I say, like, okay, this month I want to get Legend, which I obviously don't care at all, but whenever I do it, I say, like, I want to commit to one class. So, like, I have to do it with Warlock decks and Warlock decks only. It doesn't have to be the same exact one, although One Deck Ladder Speedrunner is sort of a nickname that I sometimes would get, but it's just, you know what I mean? Like, I did the, not Renounce, I did the Imp deck, and then I did the Curse deck, but they were both Warlock decks. You should have to stay within that one thing that feels authentic. So you're going from Bronze 10 to Legend 1, or at least Legend, with one class only that month. Don't play as anybody else or whatever. And so it's hard to say whether doing it in Wild is easier or harder. I might say it's actually a little bit harder, especially at the low ranks, because you don't know how to expect the meta quite as much. People will be using weird stuff that you're not really playing around, so whether it's good or not, I don't really know, but shouldn't there be an option like just disenchant all new cards? That way you don't have to go look. Well, but then you probably wouldn't want to do that, but you're not like me where you commit to one class and one class only. You know, disenchant not only just class cards, or new cards, but everything that isn't for a particular class. 100, yeah, we're gonna have a pretty good amount actually. That's where I sort of took a revenge when I had to delete my whole collection anyway. For like, I'm gonna actually use all this dust that I had because I failed the Raw Lyceum. I had to get 12 wins in 3 tries, not total, but in one particular run. 12 wins in 3 tries. Otherwise, I have to delete every card, disenchant every card. And so then I used the dust that I got from that to actually make some meta decks, and that's where the underplayed round robin started, like Demon Hunter and Priest. Resurrect 4, 2, 3, and 4 attack Paladin minion. I'm sure there's some very specific reason why that's good, but in and of itself, I'm not that crazy about it. Yeah, see, now here you'll fuck up your Warlock collection. I gotta be careful. At least this one's distinct, purple and white. So it goes against my whole criticism. How dare you lump in my least favorite class with my most favorite class, which is kind of true in the context of this game. It might even be true as far as least favorite, at least for Priest, in WoW. Even though it was one of the first permadeath runs that I decided to do with it. I just have to be a little bit careful here to make sure there's not any kind of hybrid stuff. Wait, why are there 3 of these? Yeah, I forget when this comes into play. This is like a standard card or whatever, like a core card. And then this is like, I don't know how they do that. Legacy and core. Like, why is it important to distinguish these? They're exactly the same stats and stuff. It'd be one thing if they changed their effect. Overheal, draw a card. I don't get it, but get rid of the stupid Oracle. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I don't like it too, because like you're relying on RNG so much, and then meanwhile I like Renounced Darkness so much, but at least that you're just doing for fun. Like you're stealing all your opponent's cards and doing all this kind of bullshit that has nothing to do with anything. So not only do you not have a cohesive theme to your deck, you're just kind of doing weird stuff. That card was kind of cancer for a while. Okay, get rid of that, get rid of this. A lot of these cards I don't even know what they do because I stay out of the meta so much. You know, every once in a while with these secondary series, I like to do a challenge or some kind of hardcore condition with it. But then the rest of the time, I'm just kind of derping around, so you can't really judge it like that. You know, like when you play a game for the first time, for example, not that this is that at all, but like people will judge you based on certain standards that they inject into it. Like, oh, you're just doing a blind playthrough. You're not really trying to prove anything with it. But then I always do a format with it on top of that, like it's permadeath. So it's okay to get stuck and not know what you're doing, but it's not okay to die as a result of not knowing what you're doing. So that's always my high standard. But then somehow it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like basically they're doing some sort of hindsight bias thing where it's like, oh, you should know how these basic things work. Or like I could say it like that, like I'll let you know when I'm doing a format. Like I always do permadeaths and hard modes and all kind of hardcore shit for which I have to pay a hefty price, but that doesn't mean that, oh, the first time I'm playing a game, no, like I'll decide when I do the format. I'll decide when it's the hard mode time, right? But I don't want to rush it or force it. Although even then I still do like first playthrough permadeath stuff is my whole patented format. In fact, I enjoy first playthrough permadeaths more than permadeaths, which is a weird thing to say, but that's always been my thing. Like, I'd rather play a game blind for the first time and try to just beat it normally, like without any other condition. Just, you can't look stuff up, you can't get advice, you have to figure stuff out for yourself. So you might come up with some degenerate build and it'll be OP, but that's kind of, you know, that's just how it is because you're going in completely blind. And so I prefer that to just doing a permadeath of a game I've beaten like 100 times or whatever, because then it's too much like, you know, just regurgitating what you already know and stuff like that. Get rid of this. We could craft a couple legendaries, one of which would have been Sargeras, but it saved me the trouble. And of course, we got a whole bunch of other legendaries with that too. Who is Rogue even paired with? Is it Warrior? I don't even remember. There's so few cards like that it kind of, that's where Magic kind of spits in the face of this game a little bit. You know, in some ways this game was designed to be a simplistic version of it, but the real problem is just that there's not enough synergy between the classes. There'll be some expansion where they really advertise that as a mechanic. Like they've even already done that kind of, but they didn't go really very far with it. You can combine a few cards from a few classes, and it's just very limited. That Jade thing was so annoying, but I actually did play as Jade Druid a little bit. Go here. I mean, I've tried like every deck probably notable in the history of the game, but you can only do so much with it. We need to get back a format just for Grim Patron, just to be able to dick around with it. But yeah, the fact that so much of its stuff is borrowing and stealing cards from your opponent, I don't like that aspect. Some of the mechanics are super insular and just like contrived and convoluted. Like they're not like smooth, or I don't know, both between Priest and Rogue, which is why I don't like really either of them. Right, you're setting up for these kind of combos and stuff. I'm just more like a mid-range core raw value type of guy, where it's just like, oh, you know, you just want to, yeah, warrior. I guess my color criticism isn't entirely true with everything, right? There's only some of the classes do that, like shaman and mage and whatnot, but the shaman, I have to make sure I don't just condition myself to keep disenchanting these without thought, though. It is going to become a problem at some point. Yeah, I was even trying to avoid playing wild. I was trying to play twist, and I was trying to play underplayed classes, but that didn't last too long, I guess. Like maybe a few weeks of doing that. Not that I won't still continue it as a format. Like I keep coming up with these formats and then I don't follow through with them. Like, oh, I'll do battlegrounds I'll do the game mode round robin where I'll play battlegrounds, and if I don't get top 3, I have to move on to an arena, and if I don't get 12 wins or 7 wins or whatever, I have to move on to something else, to like the duels. The duels mode was actually pretty fun, but I couldn't figure out exactly why it was so insanely. I mean, people are obviously metagaming that too, but it kind of gives you an excuse to use sort of fun and interesting decks and weird stuff. Okay, so we're making decent progress here, just disenchanting all this shit that I have no intention of playing as really any of these classes. Get rid of this. Some of these archetypes, they just keep beating like a dead horse. So like, how many Murlocs do you really goddamn need? But every expansion, you're going to see at least some of them be relevant. Whereas that level 4 one from, that should be a legendary. The nameless one that killed Senjin in the fucking Warcraft 3, right? Just like it was no big deal. This is one of the most hilarious moments in the lore. Like, this is supposed to be your legendary. The way that a lot of people die in the early lore is not that impressive, right? Like even, whatever, Grommash or whoever kills Cenarius, right? It's like weird that you just be able to do that. He takes the blood from the whatever, he drinks the blood. Okay, this is good. He's literally a demigod and you just do it that casually. So we'll look through and see what kind of imps and all we want to make. Let's look at Sargeras over here. Picture is pretty badass, and we're even going to be able to be him too once we get to level 50 on the thing. So to the void, and it just shows you what they make. Make 2/3/2 imps, which is just open a portal to summon 3/2 imps. Like, come on, is that really what we get for this? You wait your whole life for this moment where you get to actually play as Sargeras and be Sargeras. You could never do that in WoW, or you just... It's, again, I'm not even questioning the value of it. I'm just questioning the context of it. The same way, like, oh, with Mist of Pandaria, such a stupid premise. Doesn't mean that the raids were bad, or the gameplay was bad, or the content was even bad. I know some people who really liked the whole raiding and endgame experience of it, but that's not the point, right? The point was that it's going... See, this is the sort of thing you should probably do off-stream even, but I kind of like to just... I mean, I don't really play anything off-stream, period. If I'm going to do it, I may as well do it on stream, but the bigger issue with that is just not having enough time to do it significantly. Little Scooby-Doo knockoff, still better show than Velma 2023 or whatever, when it came out, maybe last year. There's so many people who don't understand the cynical way that, like with the whole Snow White conversation too, there's a cynical way that these companies think that I don't really feel bad for them. So even if you think, oh, people are overreacting and this and that, it's like companies aren't doing it just, oh, out of sheer chance or the goodness of their heart, or they're trying to do something positive. They're doing it in a very zero-sum, cynical way, which if you've ever dealt with a sort of corporate and marketing infrastructure, you would see that. Like, there's a very zero-sum mentality to it, which in a weird way is confusing with Bud Light, because they lost a lot of money on that. So to be fair, it doesn't really match with that cynical view. So maybe in that sense, you do respect them for doing it, but it's also just sort of unnecessary. You're not really proving anything. And nothing tries to convince people that, oh, they're wrong and they're whatever. They should have some other different idea. Nothing convinces them of that better than sort of framing it like, oh, they're just somehow bad, or they're, you know, like they're doing something wrong. You have to do it in a more natural way. Even if you were right and they're wrong, just saying that or doing it in such a heavy-handed way isn't going to actually sway anybody to your side anyway, which is sort of like defeatist rhetoric, but still, it's yeah, I'm going to be using Gul'dan too, for what that's worth. Now, a lot of this stuff I don't even know whether I want to disenchant. So we have almost 8,000, so surely that should be enough to make every imp in the game. Let's just do the gold cards, because then even if I decide that I want them, I could always just make them again. Why is the Sunwell showing up as new? Like, what? Gold. Wait. Own, missing, uncraftable. How do you see, like, just the gold cards, then? Oh, I kind of messed up, then. I guess I could just go through manually and do it, but I just had the chance to do it on the new thing. I'll just kind of keep an eye out. We'll see so many of them, you're not going to be able to disenchant, so that'll confuse the shit out of me. One of these at least had... Oh, come on. So any of the neutral cards I'll just keep for the sake of it, because surely they'll be relevant in some deck that I'm going to make at some point. Gold, gold. Murlocs you won't be able to do. At least going to be some that have some relevant value here. As if we even need more dust. But then it's kind of dumb if you do end up feeling like, oh, I want to craft this one later, that you just disenchanted. It's going to be... A lot of these I feel like I don't even remember having before, but you know what we're kind of close to getting is the 1,000 Warlock win thing. Just as a testament to how much I've played Warlocks, although some of it's split between like an older account and stuff, but still. Even after that, I still have so goddamn much. I love how the Nerubian egg was incorporated into that Death Knight deck too. The first thing I'll do is I'll craft every single imp in the game, just at least one of them. Right, and that shouldn't be too expensive. And then I'll see if there's something else. Maybe I'll make the portal, I'll do Renethal, and then I'll be able to basically do something where... Okay, here's one. I should have just done it the first time through. A lot of these I could probably disenchant too, but I'm just too lazy to even try to figure out whether I want to keep stuff or not. Renethal, a card that I called pretty right, that they should definitely nerf it, and then people were fighting with me, but then in the end I was proven right again because, you know, oh, it's only OP because of the Knights of the Frozen Throne coming out. It wasn't OP before, but it obviously was. Dylan Yeti, obviously not. I mean, some of these I'm not going to know. Like, why are some of these uncraftable? What is so special about this card? It's from Nathria. What is the significance of it? It's one thing if it's something that's been in the game since it came out or something. It means you probably wouldn't even want to use it anyway, but... Or certainly if there's a legendary in here. No, even then maybe I wouldn't want to do this, but... Golden Oasis Snapshot. Now that's really where the value's at. This guy got nerfed a little bit. I forget exactly how. He was like a 5/4. Now he's a 4/4. I don't even know. But yeah, like we're going to have to put all these shitty imps in there. Doesn't mean we have to have 2 of each, but I feel like I want to have at least 1 of each. And so it will combine every deck that was based around imps throughout the history of the game, but will lack any cohesion or structure in it as a result, right? We'll combine all these different win conditions and ideas that the decks had, and therefore end up with none. Now, this was obviously for the Renounced Darkness plus Elise plus Malchezaar. One of my patented favorite decks of all time. Just, you're trying to affect your deck in as many ways as possible. Replace all your class cards with different classes of cards. Add additional 5 cards from the Ungoro pack to give you some more variety. And then add another 5 legendaries, which could be class legendaries, which kind of ruins it a little bit. But other than that, you get a lot of variety with that deck. Yeah, I really don't know why some of these randomly are just uncraftable. They have no other significance outside of just being recent. And what else? What else? That's gold. Uncraftable. I don't know why the hell the Sunwell said it was new. Denathrius, which I fit into that imp deck too. Let's just make it totally new here. So we'll go. Let's see. Yeah, don't you love that badass moment in the lore where Sargeras summons 2/3/2 imps? That's his really defining moment as a character. Give all. I mean, he summoned like 1,000,000 of them, so I get the point that his whole abundance of having a whole demonic army was that important, but his strength is not really reflected in that. Give all demons and murlocs +2/+2, summon an imp block. Like, I'll make one of these just for the heck of it because it mentions imps, but this is an imp, so I'm not even gonna think about it. Add a add a random fire mage and fire warlock spell to your hand. Both. I guess I never used that. That's actually not bad. Take fatigue damage, summon that many 3/3 imps. Now we're gonna have to discard our own hand though. That's the problem. Discard a spell. So wait, where is even that quest? It won't mention imps in it, right? Results found in. Oh, I'm not even looking at the right thing. Of course I'm wild. I'm always wild, dude. Or it removed my name too. You don't have this. Okay. Lakari sacrifice. Yeah, see, that's the problem. How am I going to discard 6 cards, though? That's going to be the stupid part. I've never really tried to use that card either. This is garbage. Take 10 damage on your turn. What is this even? Why do I feel like I've rarely seen anybody use that? Okay, let's do the imp thing again. So let's see. Malchazar's imp. Whenever you draw, when you discard, draw. But again, what is going to cause me to discard? I'll have to go out of my way to do that. There's no imps that necessarily do that. I guess I could make 2 of each, but I feel like some of these I'm definitely not going to use. Unless I change my mind, I'll do it later. Is impish imports imply impressively impetus impropriety? Tongue twister. Dormant for 2 turns. When it awakens, give all minions your hand +2/+2. Is okay. Couple rifts. They summon an imp when they spawn. Obviously, we have Tamsin as well. Tiny Knight of Evil. Now, this isn't an imp in any... Like, how would you know it's an imp otherwise? It doesn't say imp in the name. It doesn't say... It's technically not, according to all other outward standards. They always have it, like, in the name or something. Doubling imp is kind of weird that I disenchanted that, because I remember using it, actually, a little bit in that. Give demons 1 attack. After you summon... Like, I'm just going to do it for the meme of it, just for whatever. How do I not have some of these cards? Like, Implosion is so intrinsic. Level 3 legendary prime minions. Yeah, see, like, even he's... This is so easy you can tell by his appearance, but... Man, I'm kind of wasting some of the stuff. If your deck is empty, summon a portal... Okay. Well, now I'm not going to have enough Niru Fireblade, the random NPC that I discovered ultimately. Like, I knew his name and he's to do with RFC, but only in my Horde playthrough do I understand now fully who he is. This should be pretty much it, though, no? Imprison Horror, 1 less damage. Or wait, I'm doing stuff that it has imp in the name, but oh my god. Yeah, this is the one that I was thinking is not very good value. Jumbo Imp I kind of like. Oh, there's going to be too many, man. Or no, a lot of these just mention the word imp, but... Imp Master, obviously. Yeah, shouldn't it have been Imp Mistress? They're misgendering this character the whole time. Tradable, impatient. Yeah, you got to be careful about that. I just crafted a 400 cost thing for nothing. Don't tell me I'm going to run out of it now. Taunt can't attack. There's not really that many in this category either. So each player is board with 1/1 imps. It's just actually an awesome kind of old school theme sort of weird thing that I would do, but I haven't done as much lately because it's just, you know, I haven't had as much time. I haven't had as much dust, so we definitely dumped it all there. So we'll make it a rule that we have to put 1 of each imp in there. That's just a necessity, otherwise it's not. Now, you don't necessarily have to put these cards in there. So I'll figure out the rest of what I want to do later. If it mentions imp, or if it summons imps, more to the point. Like, if it is an imp, or if it summons imps, you have to do it. At least 1. Right? If it's something that rewards you for having imps, we'll think about it, because that might be too good value to allow. Imposter, imp. Now... We're definitely going to have to do Renethal. I mean, that goes without saying. Summon imps. This guy's supposedly an imp, but it's not super clear. Now this isn't an imp, so why does this even show up? Wait a second. It doesn't say anywhere in there either. Vulgar homunculus and imp. Some of these are pretty unclear. Is vulgar homunculus an imp? Homunculi refers to include blah 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 imp-like creature. List of minions that are imps but not by name. Let me see. The 5/5 unlicensed apothecary, the rusted devil, the tiny knight of evil, the street trickster, and the fiend. It doesn't actually show that. So wait, which ones didn't I get? I didn't get rusted devil because it, again, doesn't say it in the name. What? I guess it just doesn't exist. Or no, it must be created by something else then. We have that. We have that ring matron, street trickster. I don't know whether I did that one or not. Or we do have that. Fiend must be also created by something. Surely they wouldn't just give you a 1/1. Yeah. Okay, that's good. The only other one in question was what I was just looking at. Is the vulgar homunculus an imp? But I already have it. So, well, the question would be whether you think... That is actually confusing. It still didn't tell me. It's amazing how much debate there is on this. There's Reddit posts and stuff. Hang on. Vulgar homunculus and imp. And would it count towards the imp effect is the question. It says it is, but... And it's meant to be from the, you know, the ones in Karazhan that, whatever, Bloodhoof was summoning. You could do one of those, one of these. Again, if it's an imp, you gotta have it. Even with the thing, I probably won't have enough space. This is gonna be so bad. Now, again, if it's just an ability thing, I don't care. But if it's a summon, then you have to do it. Fatigue damage, summon imp, so it'll probably just be one then. Disciple of Sargeras, discard a spell to summon 2/3/2 imps, fine. Destroy a minion, shuffle 3 worthless imps into your deck. Implosion, okay, we'll do that. We're gonna miss out on a lot of the synergistic stuff though. If your deck is empty, I doubt that's even going to happen. This is the problem. You control no other minions. But again, is it an imp itself? Why does it say in there somewhere, like, whatever, like if imp was part of the name, I guess it must be. Like, there's no internal text that'll say that it is, though. If you control no other minions, deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. I will assume it. I'm going to 3/3 to attack each enemy minion. Do this. Okay, now we have to do Renethal. Plus 1 less for each damage you've taken this game. Okay, that's definitely not, and that was a mistaken craft anyway. So then we have 1 less whenever friendly demon dies, will this in your hand. Let's do the rest of these. Desk Imp, Imp Master, Piggyback Imp, Trickster. Like, these are going to be very suboptimal plays, obviously. And so now we have, in fact, it's meant to be. There's exactly 40 cards in your deck if you just do... Obviously, you would need Renethal for that if you just do the imps only. So I have like 0 spells, or the spells that only mention summoning imps. So my criteria worked out perfectly. The problem is we're missing a lot of the high-value cards that would involve imps, right? Not the least of which is, you know, the library stuff, the portal, vial library. So we only have 1 of each. That really works out very well. But again, how... And what you're missing actually is also the hero card, which is going to be like Tamsin, right? Because she summons a bunch of imps too. Or I'm missing the Lakari Sacrifice. Kind of hard to say how to do this. But yeah, I wouldn't even be able to do that. That's the stupid thing about it. I can't do it because I wouldn't have stuff that's going to discard stuff. So I would have to somehow make that separately. So even with a 40 card deck, I still wouldn't be able to do it. So I could make one that's like, let's leave that, but then we'll make another one that's like no spells or something to get rid of all the spells from this, but keep the imps, and then somehow it's gonna just be way too bad though. Yeah, get rid of Wicked Shipment, get rid of that. I want to do it in like a very cohesive way that kind of makes sense. Or again, some of these I'm doubting whether they're imps or not, but I just don't know. I'm going to 1/1 imp. And some of these you're not going to get value from because they're so specific, like, oh, if your deck is empty. Like, most games are not going to go to that point. You'd have to do that in some sort of a, you know, specific way. They require a bit too much support. Get rid of this. And I mean, even if they're not an imp, but they summon imps, that's got to count for something. I got to find a way to make that portal effect actually viable, too. Which one of these would actually make sense? Tamsin would be, again, because of the imp capability, even though it's arguably counterproductive. You need Gul'dan too on top of that, of course. So stupid, man. Okay, what is going to be a discard thing? Anything from here I want? This one actually makes more sense because at least you're able to play into the portals and stuff, by which I mean like even slightly any sense at all is still too much. Okay. So it was supposed to be anything, 6 cards that have to do with discarding cards would be good. So discard 6 cards. So you'd have to draw every single one of these to be able to do it. Discard your highest cost card. Discard, 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 discard. You have 6 cards that'll allow you to do that. But is there something that maybe whenever this takes damage, discard a random card? Maybe you could damage it yourself. Deal 2. If you discard it, deal 1 more. Discard your lowest card. Choose 1. I want something that would discard like my whole hand. Like fuck it, just to get the condition off. Discard your 2 lowest cost cards. Actually, that is better. Let's do 2 of those. Discard your highest cost card. Discard your highest cost card. Discard 2. This is actually better. Whenever you play this, play or discard this. When you play or discard this, so let's get rid of what else is in there that I just did. Soulfire is good. This is okay. Let's get rid of like one of these. 1 Fellstalker, 1 of the merchants. Soulfire I can live with. Or maybe I can't because it's still, there's still 1 more off. What is going to be the last one? At the end of, or even this is good, because that would definitely guarantee towards working for the effect. Are we still not going to have room after all this? You have to get rid of 2 things, which could be any of the discard effects. Or I guess the focus of them should be more like, do all the ones that have multiple. So I'll keep Soulfire. I have so few spells in the first place. But I'll get rid of the Fellstalker and the expired merchant, I guess. Where is it? 2 cost card. I don't even see it. Here. So those you don't really need. So every discard card we have should discard multiple. Discard 2, discard 2. That's a good way to get the condition. And so 2, 2, and then 3 from this. It's going to be very strange, but this one actually makes more sense than the other one because I wanted to incorporate the thing too, the other portal, because I've never really used that too. But what's the difference with this is just we have a lot of spells, but we don't have that, so I'm not even going to acknowledge that one. It seems almost too potentially good quality. What is new in all this? Let's see. Yeah, we definitely want to get that level 50 thing, which I'm sure I will. I can't believe I've relapsed to playing Warlocks again. The dark temptation has me again, which we sort of did last time, where I was even saying like, oh, I'm going to do my underplayed thing, or at least until I lose with them. We didn't actually get to play Sargeras last time. It's going to be like the Dark Matter Dragon Fruit thing, where I get something I'm excited to use, but then in like 3 episodes, I don't get to try it. But here, there's not as much of a permanent round robin thing. We're just kind of playing this deck, period. But I want to also incorporate Renounced Darkness. I also want to incorporate some of these other kind of fun decks. Yeah, I wanted Twist to be like where you can only use the class cards, but to be able to use any card in the history of the game, like in Wild, which I guess you could do that anyway, but nobody does it, like where you would use only class cards. But the reason why that's so relevant is because then I would use like Zinazari and I would use like Renounced Darkness and stuff. It would actually be good in that, well, better than it normally is. Renounced Darkness, because you would have only class cards anyway, so it's perfect for that.
Join me on the path of the Death Knight. Learn to wield this gift.
Wait, what the hell?
And discover where my power truly comes from.
Tavern Brawl. That was disappointing, and they didn't add any like new chapters to it, I don't think. Help Yogg find the servant. Your deck is full of wannabes who cast a random spell to target when played. But yeah, you can make a deck built around that theme too. So this will be the one that has the quest. It has, wait. Oh, I'm not as close as I thought. Oh, that must be Warrior that I'm almost at 1,000. Yeah, what was the difference again? This has a lot of spells, but it doesn't have the discard thing, which arguably, I mean, it would be better. But then it also doesn't have Galakrond and stuff, so that doesn't feel right. You can't have an Imp deck without Galakrond, even though, of course, it has no synergies either. So we have both Galakrond and this other chick, Tamsin. Right, where is she? Tamsin, because she'll summon the Imps. We have a... How many legendaries are actually in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Of course, the quest and this card, which I never use. Draw 3, end of your turn, discard them. Yeah, we'll give this one a try. And this is pretty fun. This is like one of my first really inventive theme decks in a long time, and it's built around no idea, or at least one that I go all the way with, because I disenchanted like my whole collection to be able to do it. But clearly it'll be a legend caliber deck that'll make it all worth it. Okay, so here we go. For once, we're not doing it with any sort of like format or condition, but of course you'd have to do it in wild. So just the thing with Sargeras is we didn't even get to play him, so this will be our first time ever playing him. And I still haven't even tried out the voice lines for N'Zoth, one of my most anticipated Warlock heroes ever to get, and I was practically begging him for a while, just because it's like, I didn't really think I'd ever be able to get him, because I obviously didn't do it with the pre-order with the whatever he came with, the one of the Old Gods expansions. So Dark Moon Fair, I think maybe. That would have been like $80, so the joke's on them. I saved $75 and I still got him. We'll keep the thing. And again, some of these are a little bit deceptive. Imp should almost count as, there should be some other way for it to convey to you that it is an imp.
I see you've brought guests.
Who knows, we'll be using a bronze 10 in this, but actually let's not even bother playing that yet because we're not ready to discard stuff. It'd be kind of cool to see both portals at once, but it would almost be redundant because you would barely have room. In fact, you wouldn't have room, like for anything else at least. You'd have 4 portals and 2, or no, wait. No, you'd only have 2, I guess, but still, it just seems weird. Okay, what an awaken, so we just have 1 of each just for the fuck of it. Like, clearly we're not trying to do anything, you know, optimal with this at all. But we'll still be winning games. We'll get to legend with this deck, then we'd really be a legend. That takes on a whole new meaning, right? The means argument, anybody can do it with a legend caliber deck. Although at least the people who come up with them and innovate at first, that's impressive. But like with Twist even, that was theoretically something you could have done in Wild all the time, but nobody ever would have done it. I mean, it's tempting to do that, but I'm not going to be discarding, or no, I can still do it. So this could be much better if you made it more like the one I was using last year, just with the portal and the Vile Librarian and stuff. Just because, you know, there's actually value and synergy there, unlike here. This is a theme deck in name only, or this is the whole definition of my theme decks. They don't have a theme as far as mechanics, but they have a theme as far as just a namesake or some gimmick that I sort of build around. I kind of miss playing as those anti-spell decks too. Whether they're good or not is scarce to the point for me. Because, like, what does it really matter? Like, that's almost what I would do if I played Hearthstone more. I would do, like, 1 meta run to Legend, and then the rest of the month, like, the first week, I would just get to Legend, okay. And then the rest of the month, I would play all sorts of fun themed decks. Like, now, I just skip that first part because it's so boring and repetitive anyway. And, like, every time I've wanted to do it, I've done it. It's just, like... I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying at some point it gets old, doesn't it? A lot of these are not going to be very good value cards, but that'll at least help. Take 1 damage, summon that many imps, fatigue, okay, good. There's no point really even attacking in with the Bloodhound imp either. This almost looks decent value so far, but I'm just going to run out of cards. Or like we have to bait it. We have to bait him to give us a good Rafam, so I shouldn't do the Dreadlord yet, obviously. Doomguard, I mean. Dreadlord. I mean, hey, we'll take more fatigue damage, but I'll summon another imp, so that's a pretty good thing. Of all the things you could have returned, that would have at least been much more slow pace. Or we lose the buff, I guess. That all makes it worth it. Okay, we can certainly play it out on the board. This is not going to, like, you're never going to get to the point where you can do any of this. That's why Sargeras is actually good, because it doesn't require any wind-up. Like, you just do it. This requires so much work to get there. But either way, they're sort of underwhelming. Why did I think the portal took up 2 spots? Like there's a portal for each one. It shows you how little I've really used that card, basically. This is choose a friendly imp, transform a new copy of it. I mean, there's nothing really that outstanding for now. But that could be good with, like, the jumbo imp and stuff. I'm going to be very low on health for sure, so... Was it really worth it to save 1 damage to take 2 in the process to hit that? I mean... You're going to have to deal with the board, which you wouldn't think is that big of a deal, but... Give your imp +2/+2 would in itself be worth it, but I'm not going to survive long enough to do this, is the problem. There's certainly no healing in here, or we could get Gul'dan to save us, but it still wouldn't save us. You really think it's a good idea to go face, though? You sure about that? I have 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 19. Oh, yeah, we have this clutch taunt just right on cue. And if we serve this, or if we save that, or no, he gets to save Rafam, he's going to regret that decision deeply. So now I just have to not let him get through the taunt. We are presenting a pretty good amount of damage, even if he kills me. Wait a second, though. Why is this? Oh, just because of the discard thing, obviously. But some of these things I don't know whether they're imps or not. Like, we'd have to do some sort of buff effect or something to tell. So we're getting held down not only by an archetype where you have to have all these low value cards just because they're imps, but then some of them we can't even verify whether they're truly imps or not. So that makes it really dumb. Getting actually stopped by that. Or wait, what? Okay. So basically, you can still do this. But you could let the imps die and then resummon them, but then among them won't be a taunt. So we can't let this thing die, at least. Or just, like... It would give them +2/+2. Which means, like, what if I do it this way? And then you get the infuse effect, and then you do it. And then you'd be able to trade this in. And then I can't attack with the other one, so the taunt still has to save me. We still have a chance playing this absolutely god-tier optimal level. But, why don't I have the N'Zoth card back? Oh, fuck. Come on, man. It did pretty well, all things considered, though. Gonna get hard stuck at bronze 10 with this, but you really can't, because you can never lose stars here anyway, so that can never even happen. Or what did we get at 500? You get, like, the golden portrait. I almost want to play as warrior now. Addict, relapses to their 2 favorite classes after trying to distance from them, because I've just sort of done a disservice maybe to the other ones, just for whatever it's worth.
N'Zoth versus gul'dan.
Your soul shall be mine. All eyes shall be opened.
Alright, so we'll keep the portal for whatever little it's worth. I guess that's okay. That is very unclear, though, how they do that. There's no urgency to play it, though, because we have only 6 cards in our whole deck that would cause us to discard stuff, but... Like the Solarium, the 2 Doom Guards, but at least they make us discard multiple things, so that makes it worth it. Surely he'll be using a mirror matchup and do the exact same thing. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. Take 1 fatigue damage. We have a lot of stuff that's actually going to cause us to do that, but yeah, if Renathal hadn't been nerfed, this would be a little better, where we actually have 40 health. Would help a lot, actually. We almost won that off the back of the stupid Lakari taunt guy. If I was really into the game more, I'd make theme decks like this all the time, but gain that much attack and health, like, it's not going to matter much either way, but... It was my favorite Warlock deck of all time, but of course, Renounced Darkness, but besides that, I don't even know. You got, like, the game with the game going on, like, I hear you like Hearthstone, so you can sit down in a tavern and play Hearthstone while you play WoW, let's say, but in the context of this game... You can watch a raid boss going on in the middle of a game. He's fighting fucking the adventurers, and to show how badass and alpha he is, he's playing Hearthstone on the side on his phone with one of his tentacles. So this is how it's RPing out. Not every portrait comes with a little literal raid encounter going on at the same time.
The premiere act, me.
Or is he's copying my idea? Not really, but infuse for 2. I don't know whether I should really I should just ignore it for now, I guess. Draw 3. It's almost a waste to do that, but then again, all we're doing it for is the trigger anyway. Yeah, because I'm not going to get value out of it anyway. We're just playing on curve, so who cares? It doesn't matter. Just get through these shitty cards that weren't going to do me any good anyway, and then just do the condition. 1, 2, 3. And so all we would need is like a Doom Guard, and you're always going to need like 3 things, because the most of them give you is 2 back. Draw a card. Yeah, see, look, he actually has good value imp cards, though. Is he going to have Sargeras? Of course. He's playing into the theme, but he's doing it in more of a degenerate way. You control no other minions. Deal 3 to all enemy minions. That might be worth it. You do like that, or you could just ignore it. But this is pretty decently statted anyway. Now you'll get this... Now you can say the same thing here. Like, is this considered an imp? I assume it is. Why else would it appear? Nothing in this says imp, right?
These books are ruined.
Like, at least if the name says, like, impressive something something. Which I accidentally crafted that, whatever, the old god minion because of that. Look at you. You're still going to lose, though. Okay, we can make that and do this. Summon 2, 2, 3, 3, 2 Imps. Wow. This guy's one of the best cards in the history of the game. That means he's on Sargeras' level. They think alike. Okay, let's do this. Do this. Get rid of this chick. Problem is we are going to run dry on cards a lot here because we are discarding them without any regard, really. I still see in how many games I still haven't even seen Sargeras, or I haven't gotten the chance to play him. Come on, man. You copied my idea. Or you even have the Sargeras card back. I have to get the Sargeras portrait, though, for sure. Somebody fill each board with imps, which is not necessarily a bad idea right now, I guess. Take a little bit of damage here, although that could be a suicide mission. You could buff them or do all kinds of crazy crap. But of course, these people are playing hardcore for value and stuff. It could be a bronze rank 10 player. It could be a legend rank 1 because it doesn't show you that anymore. Right? It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm hiding the name. So that could hurt me as much as it helps me. Of all people to play it against a warlock. Are you kidding me? But that's arguably not even the best use. Well, it is a good use of it. But you miss out on the revival effect. Now we're not going to have anything to be able to clear the board. So we just lose. I'm in 2, 3, 2 Imps. I mean, you kind of need the taunt here. Even with it, you're going to get Clown, but... none of that is going to really help me. I think I'm still probably dead, or maybe not if he has nothing else, but... 12 plus, like, 9. 3 fatigue damage, deal that much damage to all enemies. Okay, dude. Yeah, you're doing one thing that goes against the whole theme idea here, is you're actually using good value cards on top of it. You're not allowed to do that. Okay, let me verify something with the imps here. Like, once more. Let me try to see. Which cards in here do I doubt are actually imps? Because some of them are in there just because of their effects, like the discard aspect. But... Let me actually look at it again. Event quest, play 5 weapons. Perfect class to be able to do that on. So which ones was I doubting? Most of them will say imp in there, or okay, Tiny Knight of Evil. Vulgar Homunculus. Let's go one by one. Tiny Knight of Evil. Right, so basically, does it say it's an imp? It does say it. Wiki mechanics, imp, increment attack, increment health. But how would you know that otherwise? Race imp. That's such a weird thing. Because it's relevant to so many mechanics at least now. Then look for Vulgar Homunculus. And Vulgar Homunculus. And at least this one you can see very clearly. I did just look some of these up, but whatever. Let's look for the stupid opera singer too. Battle cry, imp, taunt, okay. And then just the trickster, like at least these visually get the point across. That one isn't an imp, but it mentions it. Some of this is justified for other reasons. The opera soloist we gotta check, and that guy doesn't have to be an imp. I guess there's not that many like that, but it is just confusing. It should say it somewhere as some secondary effect. I know they're considered demons, but you got to get more. Like, you don't need to specify demon on those. Just specify imp, and then you know an imp is a demon. Not all demons are imps, but all imps are demons, right? That would work. That is so weird that you have to look that up. There's no way in game whatsoever to tell you that, unless the flavor text somehow tells you.
Nazoth versus Edwin. The scourge will meet their end.
All eyes shall be opened.
If you actually just get to play Sargeras on curve or something, that would be kind of cute, but so far it's been pretty difficult. Or those two were almost worth taking together for the fatigue sort of synergy that you got going on. Sort of doing self-destruction in every sense. Discarding cards, dealing damage to yourself, taking fatigue damage, using a suboptimal trash deck. Oh wait, that's just me. That's nothing to do with the Warlock class. Unless you want to play into like Renounced Darkness. Okay, that looks like a dangerous way to start. Get a 1/1 Magnetic Spark Bot, random effect. Yeah, clearly this is a high value imp card. One of the best. Okay, that doesn't bother me too much. Gain that much attack and health. This one's okay, but it can get very dangerous very fast. After you summon this minion, deal 5 damage to your hero. Kind of like a Pit Lord type of thing. That's totally worth it. Works pretty well with Renethal for that value, but you would think he'd still feel compelled to trade in, but he's just going to let me destroy myself as a true Warlock would do. It maybe seems a little bit stupid, but I'll still do it. You really think it's wise to leave all this shit around, though? After you summon a minion, I mean, you want to trade it off as quickly as possible, but he's not going to just ignore it, surely. Unless you could just keep freezing it or something. Are you kidding me? I mean, it is very dangerous to do. No matter what I'm doing, you know, I'll even still deal with it. Take 1 fatigue damage, do it for the Imp Gang boss, which, now, when you summon stuff from this, is it still gonna, are you gonna kill me with that then too? That might be the worst one to summon under that circumstance. Whenever you magnetize, he's not gonna take advantage of it though. Okay, he's got some nice stealth stuff going on, pretty cool.
I won't show you mercy.
Okay, so give me, well, it's very dangerous to do that, but he'll get stopped by a taunt just like the other guy. So if you can't get through the 2/4, you're still not dead next turn either. Okay, this one maybe I played a little bit too aggressively, but you would think he wouldn't just leave stuff around. Oh, he actually did burn out though. Get a coin. All you have to do is keep summoning taunts, which clearly I'm not going to get. Or you discard a card, transform from the imp. Come on. Dreadlich wouldn't have still killed any of that. I can just kill myself with my own effects to try to do this. Even when you lose, you win. Or you lose on your terms. The one class they can always guarantee that with life tab and stuff. Wait, look, the point is this isn't supposed to be a high quality deck, but it should be a little better than this. And Sargeras is just kind of ghosting me. He is in here. Because he's more of a good raw value effect rather than work so hard for the portal. Like, there's better ways to do this. I should do it more like, we'll try that maybe next time. Like, I'll do it where it's a good deck based around Lakari portal that also gets Sargeras out. So you just get the 2 portals and you try to win like that. This one's just like fitting in all these other suboptimal imps that aren't good. We'll get to Legend again with an imp-based deck. Who would have thought? Give a random friendly minion +2 health. Like I'm fitting in all of these ancient arcane cards that are just weird. At least Lakari Sacrifice, you can see sort of the appeal of it, but you'll barely have room on your board, right? You'll summon 4 and you'll have those 2, which is not a bad problem to have. It's just kind of weird to play like that.
I see you.
Even Renathal I typically don't like, but just to cram as many of these imps in as possible, I can't resist. We at least had a chance to win the first game, or in fact, what's saving me are the taunts, because my deck deals so much damage to myself and isn't going to have any heals, so... We do have like 10 armor gain though from Tamsin and and the guy Galakron. Yeah, we haven't gotten like any of those cards, or we did get Tamsin the one time. User friendly imp, become a copy of it. Not really worth it. In fact, even worse value than what it already was. But there's no point in trying to save stuff here. You have to realize we're playing a bronze rank 10 in wild and just having fun, but these people are going to be using serious hardcore type of decks, so that's the whole fun. Okay, we'll go here, we'll go there. Or oh, it's when it dies. I might not have ever used this card in my whole life, or it would have just been an arena or by some incidental effect. Not going to matter if he just does an AoE anyway. This is going to be take a fatigue damage, which you can make that a little bit better, but like I'm not going to be playing off the bottom of the deck to and then use this. Like, wow, that's really going to be the difference and win me the game. This card was so busted, apparently they had to nerf it. Draw 3 cards and I'll try to play one of them. Okay, dude. So there was nothing I would have been able to do about that, just to be clear. So these two... Or, you know, you could keep one of these alive, but I guess I just won't worry about it. We have a good effect on there. So the one time we would get Sargeras, we lose them. I haven't gotten the portal effect the other way either, but the game just doesn't last long enough for that to happen. Or even if it did, like how good of an effect is that by today's standards? It's not even that big of a deal. 2/3/2s is like a joke. Even in vanilla, beginning of Hearthstone, you could have played Jiraxis and get a 6/6 every turn. Like, it's not that much more impressive. Obviously, that's later in the game, but... So, you can't do that, or you could trade in something first. I mean, that you should obviously do last. Let's just do this. Then we can summon a whole bunch of the imps. Try to take out that, which is arguably not even worth it, but the 2 damage isn't really going to make that much big of a difference in the long run. It's just kind of weird to... do that. Sometimes you don't want to do anything with them. Of course, I'm an expert on imp decks because I just did that easy run so smoothly. But so many times I would go face and people would question it. Having Galakron in there as a meme even, people would question it. Having Denathrius a lot. That seems like one of the dumbest things people have ever said. And these were like, some of them were good Hearthstone players. They get Legend. They know the meta better than me because I hadn't played into the meta in a long time. And they're telling me don't use Denathrius. But if you look at that run, you would see how many goddamn games I won just because of that. It was actually kind of hard to believe how big of an impact that had. You can do this, and then you can kind of do this, leave one of those guys around. We'll even go here. We got nothing to lose. We could still play Galakron, and that would clearly be a lifesaver, which it might actually be because we obviously have a Rafam too. It might actually be because of the simple fact that the armor could be the difference here. 2/1/1s with Rush and Reborn. Okay. Not really a big deal, but we are going to run dry on cards a lot. We don't really have a win condition, even with getting Sargeras there. The whole 40 card thing is a bit of a clown show too, but what do you expect? I mean, I should do this because I can make 2/1/1 imps every turn. I really shouldn't, but these spells might actually help give us some AoE. I should almost just start going face, and then he'll be scared. He'll be scared because, oh, I got Pyroblast, by the way. I got Pyroblast plus Soulfire plus something else. Right, you would never know. That is kind of a really good value card. I'm surprised I haven't seen it that much. Add a random Fire Mage and Warlock. How dare you use my favorite effects against me, the elusive, evasive thing. Oh, shit. I'm not dead, am I? 8 plus 8, 16, not even close. So he didn't really call my bluff, but doesn't really matter. Use a minion destroyed after your hero takes damage. Guard a spell.
Corruption is the only outcome.
Go ahead and trade into there, and my health value is still pretty good. Deal 2 damage, I could just save it, I guess. Yeah, to make him wonder about what this card could be. Even if it was Pyroblast, I wouldn't have been able to do it. The Gul'dan could save me if my health comes down to that, but imagine losing to a clown deck like this. That's what I always get to say when I win. Not saying they must be using the best deck ever, but it's probably at least a little more synergistic, which it wouldn't take that much to do that. But that's the whole irony. I could start a game for the first time and complain about that because I got my new free-to-play player, but even if I played for a long time, I would still do that because I deliberately choose to use stuff like that. You could destroy that. And then we can hit you for 9 anyway. We did Gul'dan just purely as a BM play. Just play around Flame Geyser, lol, because the Warlocks always have that, don't they? That's what you could always say as Priest or Rogue. Oh, just play around the thing that you didn't know I could have because it was in your deck or as part of your class instead of mine. Let's see what else, if we could re-roll something here. Win 2 games or bounties, hero power. This isn't gonna, yeah, it's even saying Priest or Rogue to try to force me to do that. Mana Thirst, I'm not gonna do much. Win 5. It'd take me like a whole month to do that, not unlike the whole Magic the Gathering Clown Fiesta of drafts. I only do so badly in drafts because I want to get them over within 1 episode, by which I mean it lasts like an hour, so you're never going to be able to even do that. Yeah, the 2 very cool cosmetics are obviously the Sargeras ones. The card back was actually pretty cool too. Yeah, I just sort of decimated my collection to make this, and Sargeras keeps clowning me. How many games have we played with this between last time and now? Like, at least 5 or 6. We've only seen him like maybe once, and he gets discarded. It's like one of those immolate moments. Like, oh, they immolate your hand, and you have a 10-cost card, and it's like turn 5. So, oh yeah, just play around immolate. Like, you can't do anything. At least this one was self-inflicted. Like, I can't play or save Sargeras. I haven't gotten either effect off of these, so what I might need is actually a high-quality deck, which I obviously don't have. So I could just make it more like the one that I was using before and just have these things in there. But then again, you're not gonna have the ability to really discard stuff, so I don't know.
I see you've brought guests.
This card is actually pretty good. Anything that could potentially give me an AoE or a spell, that's actually good value because I just don't have any of those in my deck. So should I really pass this turn? I really don't feel like doing it. Going for 2 turns. This could actually be good as an early game play. Then again, my hand's probably not going to be that full. What is that, like an Exodar card back? Exodar was a pretty cool city despite the whole, you know, Draenei being stupid and retcon BS. He's like, oh, you complain about everything. You complain about pandas and Draenei, but at least the Draenei were not the whole point of the expansion. And it kind of works in the lore, like, oh, you need sympathetic Draenei who were the victims of whatever. But it just doesn't, it wasn't consistent with the lore at all, right? So I just hate that they turn their back on their own writing. It's just totally, you should see that with Star Wars, man, the way people try to do mental gymnastics for all this kind of stuff. Is the most wild, upside down stuff that George Lucas just didn't think of that. That's why, you know, they've been pretty low value things. Destroy all your minions for each one. Destroy a random enemy minion. I mean, that would be pretty worth it. In fact, it's pretty suited to a deck like this, but I'm just not going to have enough. Oh my god. That was his big ace play, so he wouldn't have expected me to have that. So just go face. Go face like the clown. Dude. Now it'll still only destroy 3 of them, but you have to get a little bit lucky, I guess. Or even that would be worth it. Just, you'll destroy 4. Hopefully there's some of the higher value ones out there. Or you have nothing to lose in popping the stuff, too. Or no, I should destroy stuff first of all, but I can't sack a minion to do it. So let's just do like destroy the shields on some of these, just in case that becomes a factor, and then see what happens. So just leave me with something that's not too bad, which that really isn't too bad. And this thing might take out the 4/4. That was the perfect card to get from there. So it's to no credit of the deck. That card is going to carry me. I was even just extolling its virtues. Like it might cover up for some of the lackings of this deck. It can sometimes be a mistake, magnetic, to make it an easier target, but I don't have anything that's really good here anyway. I won't even be able to do that. 3 mana 7/7. Now that's just ridiculous. How ironic. You discard the very card that you were playing to be able to, discard stuff for. Okay, it's going to be very hard to deal with this. We don't have enough taunts or healing or stuff, so we just have to control the board normally. We don't have taunts, AoEs, or healing. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You just give them lethal, because they will be able to attack right away. Like, what was the point of that? Or I would have been dead anyway. Alright, the point is we could outlast some of this stuff in some cases. I just don't like how I'm not even getting the Lakari payoff, but I guess we don't have enough cards that really play into the whole discard thing. So you could just make a standard Lakari deck, or like whatever the best possible Lakari deck is, and then just put Sargeras in there, and then you just get it as a bonus, right? So, I don't know. We could do it like that, I guess. So we're not playing for Imps as much. We're just doing for the portals, which ends up giving you Imps, but... Or we should just take it from one of the better ones from before, like... Which one is to do with Imps? So this was the one pretty much that we used in the whole Legend sort of run. So what could we get rid of? We don't really want Renathal. Can get rid of a few things that maybe aren't the greatest value and just put in, but you'd have to kind of redo the whole thing, because you're not going to have the discard value, but you'll win a lot of games here just for the raw value of it, so it won't even matter hardly. Why don't we just get rid of like everything that's ×2, or I never even liked this card much, but get rid of everything that has 2 copies and just make it 1, make it like a Reno Jackson style, and that as a result of doing that, you'll certainly be able to put in the discard effects. And so then you'll just put in the portal, and then you'll put in the... I don't know how many of these I really want to do, but... anything that's going to give you multiple discards. And then we'll put on top of that, obviously, Sargeras. We have the Lakari Sacrifice. I could either play more into Imp stuff, or I could do, even more stuff that's going to make you discard stuff, which I should actually do that. 5 more cards that make you discard. Whenever you discard, draw. Which, again, you're not going to get that effect too often, so I don't know how worth it that really is. You have to do that in, like, some kind of crazy combo. Discard your highest cost card, add 2 copies of your hand. Do that one. When you discard, gain plus... Like, some of those values just aren't going to be good. Deal 2 if you discard a card, deal 1 more. Draw 3, choose 1 to discard. Most of these aren't really the greatest value with doing that. Deal its damage. Deal damage equal to its cost to all minions. When you play or discard this, deal 6, randomly split. Or yeah, like that Malchezaar's Fist or whatever. I never was a big fan of that card either. Or what could we put on top of this now? We could do Galakron, and we could do... we already have Tamsin. Got Sargeras. What other things could I do? I mean, it seems like a shame not to do Galakron. Or I should do the portal, obviously, is so good. It's so stupid. Or whatever, the library thing is so important when you are building into Imp so much. So this should at least be a little better value of a thing. Basically, all I did was get rid of 1 of each of the one of each of the duplicate cards, which is kind of going to ruin the whole deck overall. But if we look at it, you still have the core basis of that, just with the discard stuff in it as well, which is not really that good, but you're not going to have enough cards to still do that. Like, this will be 1 discard, 2 discard. You have to get to the higher cost stuff anyway. That'll be, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know. It's obviously going to be a better quality deck, though. I'm already discouraged by the other one I was using. Getting Clown on it, bronze 10. Very high standard. At least normally I get Clown on it, silver 10, because you at least get through the bronze, whatever, point with even a suboptimal theme sort of deck.
Zoth versus Jaina.
You asked for it.
All eyes shall be open.
Very important to do this, but you're not going to get value from it until like turn 6, 7, 8 anyway, right? Like, and this isn't a very good value card either. Like, you are just discarding stuff blindly. But then again, the idea is your hand might be empty anyway because you're sort of... A lot of this stuff is low cost anyway. We'll end up discarding Gul'dan or something. Yeah, this is still not doing quite... We'll end up just making the same exact deck anyway. How fun is that? But just the only difference is... We would just have to not do... Here, I won't even worry about that. I won't even have to do anything because you'll just do Sargeras period as a static play. You won't be able to do this Lakari thing. It's so bad.
An incredible discovery.
You'd have to do that first and then... I don't know. Over another imp. I could do the buff, but it almost doesn't seem worth it yet, or it almost kind of is. Destroy Soul Fragment. First card you draw costs health instead of mana. Yeah, let's go all in with that stuff. Just suicide mission. Not really worth it, but... Now, we can't do the Lakari thing unless this stuff sticks around, but he'll certainly trade in, or these people are kind of stupid with how they do that. So, I mean, even here we only have 1 imp, but there's nothing really to lose from doing this.
These books are
I keep treating this guy like he's an imp. The, whatever, he's a demon, but kind of not the best efficiency there. I don't remember using Dried Blow in this much, so I even put that in the title of the deck, just like I iterated and changed that. Maybe when I was trying to push past Diamond 5, Diamond 3. So Bronze 10 to Diamond 3, basically I did the same thing. Almost the only change I made was getting rid of Gul'dan, who was there only as a gimmick. But now he makes a return. We need like a condition, like if 50 imps have died this game, you automatically win the game. That kind of thing. That should have been Sargeras as a fact. You could do the curse, you could do the Foul Stalker, I guess. Again, how many discards are we really dealing with? Deal 6, that's fine. So if we do the Lakari guy, it'll be up to 3. Like, it's very awkward to get this. I mean, you'd probably just use a lot of lower cost cards to be able to discard as much as possible, but I think they made a mistake too by doing the Succubus. Even if you were to make the Succubus look less sultry or whatever to make people, you know, not be offended or whatever, more kid-friendly game. Oh, come on. I mean, you kind of have to do it for this purpose, but you're discarding itself to make that happen. It just takes too long, man. It sucks. I'm letting them kind of gain too much armor by keeping this guy around, but it's just too slow, man. This is why Sargeras is seeming better and better by the moment, even though it's not that great of an effect. Like 2/3/2s in 2023 is like, you know, that's just mid. Okay, freeze it. Everybody seems to have trouble getting rid of this thing. Okay, fuck.
An incredible discovery.
Yeah, we let him get all this armor because face is the place, but a lot of this stuff we can't even get rid of anyway. Or he wouldn't dare to trade in. Oh my god. I would love to have done that, but actually this is a pretty good value anyway. Do one of these.
Are you little?
Just for whatever armor's sake, even though it's the weakest thing on the board. So even now, we still won't get it. Like, that should just be an auto-win condition if you get to 6. It's so annoying. I never really liked this condition for it.
You want to cast a spell? I want to cast a
Which back then, obviously, that effect was much more worth it, but by today's standards, it sucks, which is basically me saying Sargeras sucks, but at least you don't have to do anything for the effect. So I'm not trying to underestimate it that way. It's just kind of the way they present it is super unoriginal. Why does it have to be exactly the same values? Why can't it be like, you know, 2 3/3s or 2 6/6s or whatever? It should be 2 6/6 infernals. That would match up to the power creep of the modern game. Go like that. Go like that. Infinite armor, this guy. Remember that priest who had like 100+ armor? That was the most armor we saw on the ladder during that run in September, but it wasn't from a warrior. In fact, we hardly saw like one warrior in the whole game, so it's a total BM to them too. Like, we have to fight against a class with 100+ armor, but it's not even, we're not even seeing a single warrior on the ladder, so even that mechanic is usurped by a priest. Because he kept summoning that 8/8 thing that gives you 8 armor and kept resurrecting it over and over. So there was nothing you can do. You can trade this in. Just give me a discard effect, dude, please. I'm even gonna do that. That will certainly do it. And we'll lose Sargeras again, but we'll still get your fucking effect, so who cares? That'll be fine. I can't believe this armor shit that I'm letting him get away with, but... So twice in a row now, Sargeras has been discarded, showing like the high toll of playing with darkness and whatever. And then the fact that you have to play it on top of that. Very slow-paced card for this day and age. We need something more just to heal us and whatnot. Give your demons +2/+2, but it's going to be a little bit too late here with how little health I have. In fact, that might even still be better somehow. Deal 3, shuffle 3, draw 3 cards. Yeah, that is actually the better play right now, I feel like. Because the armor especially would be good. Yeah, Sargeras has not been played one time, and that's the whole spur of why this deck even exists and what I was trying to do with that. That's good. Now we should win, but it definitely took a while to get there. Tradable, don't really care too much. I mean, we just have to hang on with this amount of armor. As long as we can open the portal next turn. Like, if we can play this and this, then these two should be able to trade in pretty favorably for whatever he does. After you cast a spell, add a random fire spell. It's going to be fucking Pyroblast. Okay, dude. One thing we're not really going to have is removal. I'll still do it.
The top shelf is...
We won't be able to see that 2 portal interaction. The solution is obviously just make a better deck every time because, you know, just make a deck that doesn't have like a fun theme to it, or it has to be very specific. I make it like very, very to the point. Like, oh, it's got to be exactly about every imp or every gimmick possible. Gul'dan with no synergy, but that kind of shows bad card design too. Like, Gul'dan summons 2/1/1 imps, which is not in itself a very good effect, and the whole invoke thing is not particularly fun either. Like, it's too insular of a mechanic that requires very specific support to be good. I prefer things that are just good value on their own. Like, that's always my whole playstyle, which is why I make all these shitty decks that don't have good value either, but yeah, it almost seems like you wouldn't have room to fit the 2 portals with all the shit it summons on top of whatever else you're doing. But again, it's sort of a good problem to have. Is he gonna do Blizzard again? Clearly, you should win this game despite all the armor that I gave him, or we're gonna obviously fatigue ourselves out. Trade him in, we'll get him right back. Cover one, cost one more. One thing we definitely don't have here, though, is AoEs or anything like that. Yeah, see, we just don't even have room for this. I almost want to get rid of this guy. Nathrius could start to come into play too. Or it's almost worth it to do him in some weird way. Just like, get rid of this, get rid of this, this. They're completely expendable, just how Sargeras would treat them. That's why he likes them. Heal 6. I mean, I'd almost be willing to do it for the heal, but it seems unlikely unless he like double fireballs me that this would be an issue at all. Trade it, get this. Like, we don't even have room for this stuff, which is why I'm kind of questioning this. You know, it's just not even doing the portal, not even doing anything. If you do clear the board, at least Denathrius will be a little better. The only thing I can think of is double fireball or some other weird combo here. You never see that whole Iceland thing anymore, even though it's obviously whatever, like you're playing in wild anyway. This costs more than everything. Summon one of those minions. Alright. Yeah, this is where Denathrius helps you so much because it'll give you that extra healing and stuff that you need too, not because it'll be the finisher. But I loved all those priest and weird matchups that I would have lost otherwise. How ironic if you were to have this, that'd be the perfect way to answer your fucking armor mage. We end up seeing high armor values, but never on warriors because nobody ever plays warriors. Just trade all this stuff in. Like you almost just want to get rid of this stuff because I don't have room for anything anyway. I mean, just out of the paranoia of being low on health, I don't mind doing that. Not a very good use of it, but definitely this board is annoying for you, I'm sure. This is at least a decent quality deck mixed in with everything else, but the whole discard aspect is not the most efficient. Like, we have to go so far out of our way to do it. Let's look once more at what exactly are the best value cards that cost stuff to be discarded. Okay, dude. Even that's good because it makes room for the rest of them. I don't know. I almost don't even want to do anything because the value of this is so good, but I'm running out of time. Even though that'll only summon one, somehow the buff seems more valuable. Decking myself out. Which is why sometimes cards like Tamsin are bad. And the fact that it's AoE in a deck that's built around Imps and flooding the board is weird, but it ended up still fitting into that somehow. These Imps are going to be good value still, but we got to end it quickly. Just go here, here. Not even really using the portal. Go face. May as well just go for it, even though it might not seem like the best value. Go like that. You got to end it pretty quickly, and I doubt he's going to have more AoE despite all he's used so far. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the discard condition. I have stuff that's in there just to throw stuff away, not even for any synergy with it, like the Solarium thing. Just give me... Just throw 3 cards away. I don't even want them, like... Yeah, this is one of my less favorite Warlock heroes, but still. Just go for it. Yeah, now we're even cucking the own imp effect, but there's nothing else really to be done with it. Surely they wouldn't make an epic comeback here. Most epic game ever played at bronze 10, 9, whatever, like that one clip that nobody liked. Because their standards are different. They don't understand the means argument that I've explained a million times. Surely I should write a book about it or something. Or even if it is Ice Block, it's not going to matter.